I think he's the one who wrote I Robot. What's the name?
Who runs iRobot? No, I don't know much about movies, man.
I wanna get the name. Isaac Asimov. You know Isaac Asimov?
The notification just came in. You wrote like Masters of Wage.
I told you that each time for me to write here. Since you have a
Let
link,
me
yeah,
send
you
an
can share that.
invite.
Yeah, me too. With
What's it
Isaac
called?
Asimov. Yeah, the guy. I think it's Isaac Asimov. Yeah, I can share my screen and we'll see him.
Show me.
He's a sci-fi writer.
Sounds
Amazing,
familiar.
amazing works. Time travel.
Yeah.
I think he wrote iRobot, and he has a lot. He had a lot of laws about AI and things like that. So I have one of his
Yeah.
books. I think it's called The Foundation.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. When it talks of time travel, they talk about um, Wentworth. Like I'm going, like you see, you're going towards 2020. Yeah, like 2020 is it Wentworth or the something like that. This is really amazing. Yeah, okay, got the link. Let me
What's
share
his,
my
did you
one.
put it up? What's his name again?
Isaac Asimov.
Isaac. Isaac.
Yeah,
Asimov. How do you write that?
yeah. I think it's A A
Asimov.
S. Oh,
Ah,
A
yeah, I
S
saw it.
I.
Isaac
Yeah.
Asimov. Yeah. An American writer and professional biochemistry. Professor of biochemistry at Boston University, he was known for his works on science fiction and popular science. Asimov was a prolific writer. He wrote or he did more than 500 books. He also wrote an estimated 9,000 letters and postcards. Wow. He loved writing.
Oh yeah, he has some wonderful books. I think even I Robot, the movie, you know the movie, right? He wrote it, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. And like the funny thing, and actually the interesting thing about it is, he's a kind of writer whose thoughts became almost like real, in the sense that a couple of the things he talked about are almost like a reality now. You see what I
Yeah.
mean? Some of the concepts that emerged from his sci-fi writing. I think even laws. He has something called Asimov's law, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
About robots and stuff. But these sci-fi writings. So he has three laws of robotics from by Asimov. Um, this was a serious dude. Like imagine a scientist that actually used fiction to communicate his ideas, and over time, those ideas actually became a reality. And and especially people like Elon Musk, like most of his motivation come from his motivations mostly come from the sci-fi stuff. Can you imagine?
Yeah. A lot of those scientific scientists,
Yeah,
their motivation, yeah, that's true. Their motivation comes from like a revolutionary movie. Like
yeah.
many people, for example, you have Star Wars, yeah,
Mashallah.
yeah, and then you have also which other movies that there are many movies actually that are very impactful.
Yeah,
I think Black Panther should also be impactful.
yeah.
Yeah,
Vibranium,
like
vibranium.
the whole vibranium and the way they use technology in there. Like you have the beads, you see how the guy takes the beads and then the
Yeah,
beads becomes a communication device at some
mashallah.
point. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's,
then you
it's
see
amazing.
how they have the rhino. They're using the rhino for defense, and
Mm-hmm,
then
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
they have changed something on the rhino. So imagine, for example, something like what's this thing Elon Musk is doing?
Hyperloop or no,
No,
the
the neural link,
link.
is that the
Yeah,
one?
Neuralink. Yeah.
Yeah, so imagine you actually use those neural link on animals, so let's say on the or a rhino, and then you can,
Oh yeah,
yeah, and that's basically what Black Panther was doing. So
mashallah.
they have an interface to communicate with the rhino, and only that defense guy
Yeah.
can't remember his name, could control them,
Yeah,
and
the
he
guy
still
whose
wasn't
wife is
control
a
them.
general.
Yeah, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So I
Yeah.
feel like there's
Uh,
so many cool usages of technology in that movie, and
that's
sometimes they always link it to like something from the continent. Somehow they managed to always link them, which was cool. Yeah.
mashallah. And I mean, even FaceTime. I think FaceTime came from Star Wars.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. FaceTime. Steve Jobs, like growing up, he saw like this, is this Star Wars, Star Trek, all of those things, and then the guys are like, we have to make that. You see, and it's some of those things where when they first voice it out, yeah, developers get frightened, and you could be in a team where some people are like, that is not possible, and that's where you see guys frowning like, you must do that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
they struggle and get it done. It's really amazing.
It's so funny because if you look at the way what they are saying about the invention of the iPhone, for example, how
Uh-huh.
stressful things were, how they managed to get it done and create new interfaces, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you actually looked into the Apple developer culture? Because it hit me that I'm actually following up a lot of Google stuff, and even like open source projects, and somehow AWS. But I've never really looked at Apple to like consume all the knowledge base that they've exposed for developing apps, their standards and things like that. Have you looked
Yeah.
into those? And is this something really interesting? If you have,
No, I have never actually. It's interesting because Apple is always very secretive. I don't even know why. I mean, technology is so open these days. I don't
uh,
even know why Apple is so secretive. Well,
uh,
it's good to be secretive about your hardware, but software wise, I don't know. I've never seen much communicated by Apple. No, never. Have you?
I tried to look, but most of them were in the guise of like tutorials,
Yeah.
and but they have good documentation on stuff like, let's say, QuickTime, like how to use QuickTime embedded in stuff, and it's really interesting, but it's not as abstract as I would have loved it to be. Like,
Yeah.
if you see good material design, I've actually been consuming material design because I feel
Yeah.
like I want to learn how to design software. Like, I always have this void in me that feels like something can be
You
done
mean user
better.
interface?
Everything, like, because you
Mm,
know that nowadays, even from the arrangement of your user interface, you can gain a lot of insight on how to arrange your backend infrastructure and other communication channels. You see,
true.
so yeah, so I've always felt like there's this void that I need to fill in terms of like design and my whole adventure in developing apps and stuff. You see, until I almost ventured into biology just to understand how systems are put together. You see, and yeah.
One thing that I've done recently is learn design.
Oh wow, what
It's
kind of
cool.
design?
Mm?
What kind of design?
No, UX design,
Oh,
UI,
UX. Okay,
UI.
you're right. Okay.
Um, because when you build apps, what I've realized is people are more focused on the user experience than the actual product. So
Yeah.
you could take any concept today, put it into a digital product, but what people really care about is the user experience. So that's the beautiful way things look, and then the way you make users do things on the platform. And that's also partly due to the fact that people are now so used to using um, like all these highly designed apps, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat.
Yeah.
They're like top notch in terms of of development and design. So
Yeah.
uh, I decided to learn design at some
Yeah.
point.
Hint me. What did you learn? Let me see if
Uh, I learned quite basic stuff, but I learned the fundamentals actually.
okay.
So things like why you will want to design something in a particular that rather than just copying the standard design patterns.
Yeah.
So every user action has a way to be implemented digitally.
Yeah.
So today we know about the pinch, the zoom in. So these are things that people are already unconsciously connected to. So
Yeah.
you see when you see a hamburger, so
Yeah.
those three bars somewhere, you
Yeah.
know that if you tap on them, you expected to see a menu.
Yeah. I see.
So these are things that previous apps have embedded into humans' uh, interface between computers.
Yeah.
And then so these are things that I learned within this
Oh, I see.
that design course,
Mm.
and things like infinite loop, for example, no,
Yeah.
infinite scroll, for example.
Yeah.
Why do we have infinite scroll? It's
Yeah.
just to improve the user experience, like different things like that. Why? So the fundamental behind everything,
Okay.
behind the design. Well, it was really, really fundamental because I feel like there's still a lot more that I can learn about it, but
Okay.
it's enough for me just to have a good idea. And this was mostly for me to know if when, for example, I'm working with a designer and
Mm.
they produce something, I have better tools to know if the direction is good for the product or not.
Oh wow, I see.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like design, what I also learned was like design. Also, you have to know exactly the people who are going to use the products. Let's say, for example, if you're making a website for I don't know, accountants, they
Yeah.
have their way of of working,
Yeah.
and you have to match your design to the way accountants work on the computer. Same, for example, if you're doing a software for developers, you know how developers react. Sometimes the design might be visually ugly to
Mm.
normal people.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, if you pick a software product, they have usually black background, they are in Courier font or
And
whatever.
green text.
You see the type machine font.
Yeah.
So that's specific. That's because they know it's for developers.
Actually,
And
I
if
see.
any other type of person looks at it, they will not understand.
Yeah, I
So
see. I mean, like,
yeah,
see, like Emacs or Vim, like
yeah,
those are applications that if you have to visualize them in the real world, they will come out as skyscrapers, or they will come out as the Statue of
yeah,
Liberty, or some kind of jet rock, sophisticated interplanetary vehicle.
yeah,
And
yeah.
when you look at
And
it,
it's
it's
also
ugly. You see what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It's
and it's
amazing.
also very interesting design because once when you learn that, you realize that designs are all interconnected
Mm-hmm.
because you will look, let's say, you will look, for example, at the way
Mm.
a car is designed or
Yeah.
a door handle is designed. You'll be like, oh, they should have done it like that. They should have
Yes,
done it
right.
like that. So
Uh-huh.
you now have that critical design thinking, which is really, really good. So that's why I learned it, and it was nice.
Oh wow. And I mean, sometimes when I look at words and just don't think much and let the words just suggest to me their their, their essence, I get to respect some words like design. Like it's something that when I just it's something like, okay, don't think too much, because if I have to think, maybe my fears may step in, like, okay, I
Yeah,
know that I don't know how to design stuff, I want to know more, and I may get anxious. So
yeah,
sometimes when I just let it and just let the word just flow, like it's a word that is heavy. You
yeah.
see what I mean? It's a word that is heavy, and all the practices that
Very
come,
heavy.
yeah, that come along with it. I really, and for example, when material design, I don't know if you have come across it.
What?
Material.
Material design, the design system of Google.
Yes, I
Yeah,
that's that I decided to learn that, so I'm still learning it as
yeah,
some kind of a vehicle for me to understand and interact and communicate with design, and I love
yeah,
it so far. Although it's not really well implemented, like it's not totally implemented in how do they call it, Angular, but
yeah.
the pieces that are implemented, they're really really amazing. If you have to check it out, it's amazing.
Yeah, I checked out material design at some point.
Mm-hmm.
When was that? When I was learning design, I looked at material design, and yeah, they have just it's just applying a certain system to different design
Yes.
aspect. Let's say the
Yeah.
shape of buttons,
Uh-huh.
or yeah, let's say inputs, how your input field should be.
Mm.
They look at the impact of shadows on user experience.
Mm.
The elevation,
Elevation,
they
yeah.
define what an elevation should be. If you have a card, if you have, yeah, I read that. It's just an application of some design principles from what I could see.
Yeah, and it looks
Yeah.
like it's widespread in the sense that those simple the primitives that they give you, you could really use them across multiple platforms because
Yes.
like especially if you do Flutter, I think
Yeah.
Flutter they've succeeded in implementing it like widely. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. I love the categories they use for as families of objects. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned, you could even use size. Like say, okay, I want that's three sizes. I want small things to look like this. I want medium things to have this kind of shape. I want
Yeah.
large things to do like that. It's just amazing. You have those three levels, and you can use them and combine them in amazing ways. And
Yeah.
that's actually what has got that really got me interested into like CSS and things to really go and absorb the
Yeah.
fundamentals of like CSS.
Yeah. Yeah. So so yeah, these are the things that we touched on during that design course, and things like why do we use, for example, a grid system,
Mm-hmm.
and how to define your own grid system when you're designing something,
Oh wow.
because the grid communicates also some information to the user.
Okay.
So if they are used to seeing that a text starts, let's say 24 pixel from the left,
Yeah.
and then you, at some point in your screen, you have something that starts at 0 pixels, so it just starts where the screen starts, you might indicate something that they should pay attention to,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
that visual pattern is now broken for the user.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, so you might see an app with a title and a text, and then you have an image that covers from 0 instead of from 24, just because they
Yeah.
want you to pay attention to
Like
that.
call to action or some kind of an ad.
Yeah, correct. So
You see what I mean?
these different things like the grid system is very important. Typography is another
Yeah.
big thing. We have typography everywhere. If you think about it, everywhere where you can see some writing or a word, that's like, for example, my T-shirt has
Yeah.
some
Right.
typography on it.
Yeah.
Typography is also a big thing. Colors. This design is very, very cool, man.
Yeah.
Design is very cool. We did. You can actually do a beautiful UI design by just taking care of three main things, which is colors, the typography, and the grid. Once those three are
Wow.
well spot on, design, it's supposed
And
to be
material
nice.
design actually gives you that because I remember like when I do
Yeah.
Angular, I know that I have a theme, and
Yeah.
in terms of color, it allows you to pick two. Well, there are like five categories: the one
Yeah.
color, background, foreground, the accent color, and then the primary color. And
Yeah.
then, but the interesting thing I love about that is in terms of color, it gives you a whole palette. So instead of me taking red, I would have a whole spectrum of like red. So I can actually
Yeah.
grab it and then I can start using the darker part here, the other part here, and then my secondary color, the same thing. I could as well
Yeah.
just choose to take just one shade of the color.
Yeah.
So doing that, it makes it now one can really express just like how you mentioned the hierarchy in terms of padding and margins. You can also
Yeah.
use these colors to create hierarchies that can actually get the user's attention. And it's just tiny things.
Yeah.
Then the
Yeah. It's
typography,
just tiny stuff.
yeah, it's amazing. I really want to like absorb it and be able to express myself with these concepts.
Yeah. No, it's really just little things like that.
Yeah.
They can put you very far
And then another
in
one is
the.
motion. So because they say
Yeah.
that when things just happen abruptly, it's just boring and it looks like 90s. So there are
Yeah.
cases where they actually suggest how like things getting into the page and things leaving or let's say from listing to master to detail. Like you could have a couple of cards that summarize things, and then you could have click more. And when you click, perhaps it could like grow to like a larger card, and then when you minimize it, it could like come back slowly. So just like you explained, those things can actually make the user want to just be there.
Correct.
See what's
That's
happening.
exactly
Yeah,
what it is. So the user just feels like, whoa, what is this? Oh,
exactly.
whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Like, have you
It's
used
all about that.
Coinbase? Have you used Coinbase, for example? Coinbase.
Coinbase.
Yeah.
Yes, I've used Coinbase
I noticed something
a long
with
time
it.
ago.
Yeah.
I don't use it anymore. I still have it, but I don't use it anymore.
Okay. I noticed something with Coinbase. Like when you open Coinbase, the first time the splash screen is blue, and you have Coinbase in the middle, right? And
Yeah.
then when it loads, the blue screen it kind of disappears and minimizes itself at the same time into some blue button. And incidentally, the bottom sheet has 5 buttons. So the
Mm-hmm.
middle guy, so you know that the middle guy is the odd guy. The odd guy is the middle guy in five
Yeah.
things. So that
I'm just
splash
opening
screen,
it now.
yeah, that splash screen reduces into that middle button. I keep looking at it all the time. Like each time I look at it, I'm like, whoa, I have to do this in one of my apps.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you see it?
I'm
You got
just
it?
opening it now. Skip for now. I had not opened it. Ah, yeah. Then you have the middle
Yeah, you
button
see
there.
how the whole it's like the whole page reduces into that button. It's really
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And these things, I mean, especially nowadays where like software is I love the way capitalism is evolving, and sometimes I get confused because I find feuds between like schools of thought. Some people saying it's all bad, some people saying it's all good, but when I forget about those and really look at things, you see that companies now are beginning to compete with software. And in software, I can't wait for it to get to the country level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and things
You
are,
can't wait
yeah,
for
country.
cybersecurity to be a big issue, huh?
Yeah. However, yeah, but I want it to be positive. You see, because like, see, like, you at your school of thought, the React school, that's Facebook, and then Google will like reply with the Angular, you see, and material design, and then
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Amazon. They have their own things, but they just mean business. You see, so we're in this era that companies are beginning to like compete with software, and the healthy aspects actually drive a lot of development, you see. So which means in those companies, people now need to start stretching technologies in order to like be like whatever competition, however competition evolves, you want the best thing to float to the top, you see.
Yeah.
So all of these small things, we have to go to the basics now and and I guess that's why, because there's a lot of quality that is actually coming into apps that we didn't even think of like 10 years ago, you
Yep.
see. So yeah. And it's interesting, although sometimes frightful because one has to learn a lot, but yeah.
There's always something to learn in this
Yeah.
field. There was a concert yesterday, like a big concert yesterday back home.
Oh,
I wonder
okay.
how it went. There's this guy, Dyke, who was performing yesterday
Tight.
in Yaoundé.
What's
Do
his
you know
name?
this guy?
Uh, he sent it to me.
Yeah, let me send it to you.
Tight.
Dyke concert in Yaoundé. Yeah, Ike. Where do you want me to? I'll send it to you on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry.
It's Kobe. Big boss Kobe.
Yeah, man, time has just been flying. Like I don't know where my, let's say, November or October today. I don't know where it went to. It's like there's some black hole of activity that just like sucked it out.
Some people, I saw this meme where people have January, February, March, Corona, December.
It's like you
That was
blinked.
such a funny one.
Yeah, it's like you're traveling and then you blink and then you arrived.
Yeah, I know.
You don't know where things happen. Okay, this guy, Tahi, is he
What?
Cameroonian?
Huh?
Oh, 5,000.
Did you see?
Yeah, tight.
So yeah, President Jean take. So you see, this yeah,
Oh, wow.
and it's quite interesting the way the tickets are set up back home, and also the ticket sales. If you look also at how tickets are being sold,
Yeah, yeah.
this got me like really. It's interesting. If you look at the flyer, for example,
Yeah.
the ticket is in three categories. So you
Mm.
have a standard ticket,
Yeah.
a premium ticket, which is double the standard ticket,
Uh-huh.
and a VIP ticket, which is 5 times, well, actually 10 times the standard ticket or 5 times the premium ticket. Did you see?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, three of them. So these are categories, eh? Because I see.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah.
it's very interesting how the
But
price is set
but
up.
we used to
Really,
do
really
things like
interesting.
that when we made parties. Can't you remember? Like the BAs used to be kind of different, although not
Yeah,
really forced like this. But it's wonderful.
yeah, it's very interesting. I just find it interesting the way they put the prices,
Yeah. So
and then
five
also
times
the
two.
way we sell tickets. Tickets are available in this point of sales like Carrefour Market, Ekie, Musée National, Black and White, ASOS, Black and White Sports Bar, and then you have phone numbers. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, in Cameroon, we really know how to mobilize ourselves when it comes to Joka.
Yeah, that's true.
This will always work. This will always work. I don't know. We really know how to do things like that.
Yeah.
But this guy is he Cameroonian? This steak or tag? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Me too. It's like I don't know if it's steak or tyke or whatever, but yeah, he's Cameroonian. Yeah, he's French Cameroonian, I think. He's French Cameroonian. He lives in France, but his family is from Cameroon, and yeah, he has some Cameroonian style in his music too, but he's in French.
Mashallah. Yeah, it's been a while. I really need to absorb this. All these dates just passed. Like these days just passed. Like fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to really jump into these things. Hey, then
I
DJ.
wonder why we
Yeah.
don't have like one single platform for tickets for any concert and things like that.
Then build it.
Oh man.
It looks like those of us in the tech field, we are lacking in a lot of things. When I say lacking, I don't mean it in like a negative way.
Yeah.
Because you look at the artists, they are delivering technically. You look at those into movies, they are delivering technically. Those of us into
Yeah.
tech, like how many things have we released? You
Mm.
see, yeah, and
Actually,
yeah,
the question is how many quality things that are being used have been released?
okay, yeah, yeah,
Not
right,
many. Since Njoku, for example, I haven't heard many, unless they are not being promoted. But
yeah.
normally, if something is for customers, if the customers are using it, then we know it's going well.
Perhaps the marketing layer needs some boosting, and marketing, and this is something that we saw in football, right? You remember when money got into the Premier League, like how the Man City, when they just oil money just went in and
Yeah.
they got all these players and they were just like everywhere. I think that someone needs to stimulate. You know how you take a defibrillator and put it on someone's chest and you're like boom boom, you shock them and they wake up. We need to
Yeah.
shock we need to shock the economy. They need to
You really
shock
need to do it
yeah.
smart though, because if you pick, for example, this particular concept, which is about a ticketing platform for all this,
Yeah.
you really need to act smart because people are very reluctant to change.
Yeah.
If this is already happening like that, you see the way, like you saw that the flyer,
Yeah.
if you go on that link again and you look
Yeah.
at the
Let me go.
flyer,
Yeah.
you see they actually have on the flyer a big space
Yeah.
just with the point of sales.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah.
Like at the bottom left.
Yeah, true. Seen it.
Yeah. So I think you can replace this whole thing with just a link.
A barcode. on
or a
some kind of,
barcode,
yeah,
and then someone
something
who
to
can just
scan it.
scan when this thing
Yeah,
is pasted somewhere in the cache somewhere.
yeah,
They just scan it.
yeah,
You can even have a WhatsApp number and then have a chatbot and say, "Oh,
yeah,
I want tickets for this," and then once you buy, they send you the QR code with your tickets.
yeah, exactly, and it encodes everything. And then DJ build it then, and lately, I'm like a carpenter. I hear that some carpenters they see they see uh they see all problems as ones that need to be nailed. That you're a carpenter, you want to nail everything.
Yeah, the thing is,
So
you can build a solution. It's
uh-huh.
good. You can build a solution. Like, you can actually build a quick solution. The problem, well, we can do it. The
Yeah.
thing that I can see is you really have to be smart about it and contact the
Uh-huh.
right people to quickly jump in the industry and have at least a test event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
Because, yeah, so you kind of have to partner with one organizer one day and
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, you're bringing which artist. I will,
Yes, Stanley,
yeah. So yeah, and then you say, okay, I will help you sell the tickets, outsource everything to me, and then you handle that whole thing, and then but yeah, people are always looking for ways to hack these tickets.
Yeah, so if that's it, then maybe
that
you
that
should put
means
it
that
on a
you can.
blockchain. Then maybe you
This
should
is
put it
this
on.
is actually a very good project.
Yeah, if that's the case, if one is worried about hacking and stuff, then maybe one should put it on a blockchain, especially if it's like a platform on its own, like Eventbrite, that that
Hmm.
okay, I go to this platform to engage with the domain like of tickets, ticketing.
Yeah,
So one
yeah,
could upload it on blockchain because in that case, with the encryption and all the primitives that blockchains give you for free, you can focus on the solution itself as opposed to
yeah.
like defense. You
If you
see,
do it on blockchain, where will you host it?
on the blockchain. So, for example, right, and it
Is it
depends.
available home?
Yes, the thing is, if you launch it, let's say it depends on the platform, right? Let me say Ethereum or on Tezos. Like I'm really interested in Tezos lately. That was born in like France, the French guy, and he uses a lot of French technology like OCaml in terms of language. There
Hmm.
are many nodes that support it in the same way that when you're in Cameroon downloading movies from BitTorrent, the movies
Yeah,
could as well be with people who are in France and in Europe. You
yeah.
see, so if you deploy the application on the blockchain, so long as that blockchain has nodes, the nodes could not come from where you are. That may reduce the speed and the rest, but it's possible to do that. I don't know if you see what I
So
mean.
so if we have some nodes in, let's say, Yaoundé and Douala, and then
Yeah.
you you use that to host your ticket
Yes,
encryption or whatever you want to do
you
with
call
it.
it smart contracts. So if you
Yes,
deploy it
correct.
there, then let's say on the app, because these things they call them D apps, right? Like decentralized apps. So
Yeah,
when you push it, it will go to the blockchain, and when somebody wants to buy a ticket, the client will initiate like some kind of transaction that okay, here's money, 10,000 for example, and take it and execute it against this script. So you can take
yeah,
it now and deploy the and return or do the transaction and maybe hand over the rights to a ticket or to a license that will allow you to go in. You see,
yeah,
so yeah, so that way. And once if you have that blockchain, uh, so long as you have nodes, and there are many there are blockchains that have a lot of nodes, Ethereum, Tezos, even Stellar Lumens. You see, they already have nodes that are there as supported. So if you do a mixed application where the client is, let's say, a React app, but its
yeah.
back end is a blockchain. So imagine a
Uh-huh.
blockchain as a service, so you can always initiate that call to the blockchain, and then the blockchain will do whatever it is, and then the app can react to it, get the result, and display it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see what I mean. But security will really come in because you already handle those. When a user registers, you generate their private and public keys, so everything can be encrypted from the ground on.
Yeah. The tech. Yes, actually, there's so many products that you can do, man.
Yeah, you see,
So
because
many products.
those blockchains are good when you want to deal with security, you want to deal with trustless things. Like you want trust, you want to trust that the people have the real tickets, and then people don't steal and things like
Yeah.
that. So you can actually tokenize that. But since maybe one wants to make it very abstract to handle different kinds of tickets, then you can actually tokenize the idea of tickets on the blockchain, and then you could have a smart contract that you can use to generate tickets, and maybe put like a time bomb when they expire and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it
Mm.
on the fly. It's interesting. It sounds interesting because
There is yeah, this whole ticketing is really interesting for me as a product which is not big but can have a huge impact.
it is
It's
big,
actually not a
DJ.
bad
it,
thing.
it is big. You know why I say it's big? Because when I came to the States, I was looking for a job.
Yeah.
I think the first interview I almost had, but I'm sure I was disqualified, maybe racism and stuff. Yeah, because I had a strange experience. Like it was about Django Python. They called it
Yeah.
was it one ticket or quick ticket, one of those. So
Ah, yeah.
yeah,
So it was a ticketing platform,
yes,
ticketing management
yes, that's how
platform
I'm
or
telling you
something
it
like
is,
that.
because then that period Eventbrite came out, quick tickets. They wrote they as they launched it, they had funding. You see, they were
Yes.
funded real quick, and then they there's a lot of ticketing going on around here. Like let's say in the University of Maryland, the school itself has a whole system to manage tickets for like interstate games, normal games that go on, and a lot of issues. Just if you really want to see the essence of ticketing, think of how hard it is for people to park when there are events around.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
just think of that. How the city
Yeah.
goes like, however, when events are to happen, you see.
Yeah.
So now, what is the main thing that people use for admission is the ticket. You see, so that system actually went live very quick, and then a friend of mine got to work there, and they bought it. So not only did it get funding, so within 5 years it got funding, went right up and got bought. So you see how
Mm.
hard like ticketing systems are. Yeah. So it's really, yeah. It's, I mean, it's a thing because events, man. Like there was this study that was done about like human beings, human behavior during the
Yeah.
reset, the Great Recession in America. That's back in the day.
Uh-huh.
They looked at the lines of like events. People were starving. There was a lot of issues, so they looked at the lines in restaurants and other locations that were offering free food, and then they looked at the lines for entertainment. You see, so the lines for entertainment were longer.
Yeah.
So food was free. Food was free, but people went to the place that they had to pay. So the conclusion from the study was that the more miserable people are, the more they want to entertain themselves. You see. So that was the conclusion from the study. So when you look
Yeah.
at that, you now see that the fundamental thing in the entertainment, how do you admit those people in? So come back to ticketing again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
it's a
may
very
you may
interesting
have
thing, you know.
just convinced me, but let's wait for the next time I'm home.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's an amazing it's man, there are many projects here, DJ, many projects, and I
I
don't
don't
know.
want to commit to anything anymore.
Yeah, me, I want to study. Like I really want to study and like know how to like build software, man.
Please do, because
Yeah.
I don't want to study anymore.
Then what do you want to do if you don't want to study?
I just want to build some cool stuff. No, just building some cool things that people are gonna use.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do now.
Me too, but I find myself getting stuck.
Well, I feel like you at the end of the day you kind of have to choose if you want to build your whole life, like
Mm,
technically build your whole life, or build up until a certain level and then hand over to handle the bigger picture.
okay. I also
So
think culture plays a major role, because if you look at software like Linux and a couple of these open source projects, and even when you look at coding cultures, I don't know around your vicinity, but here in the DC area, it's easy to have meetups. Like there are people that just meet after work to code for on projects for free.
yeah,
You
we
see,
have those too here.
yeah,
We have those.
and there are people that when you find the motivation behind it, you can't really tell. At the end of the day, it could be the social activity of like drinking beer, coding, eating pizza, and then going again after that to another bar, meeting people and discussing. But it drives a lot of progress. So, but when we go
Yeah,
back home, we don't have that culture. You see, now it supports some kind of lone wolf development model. You see,
yeah,
and it's hard for one person to build software. So I think that's one issue we have.
yeah. The thing, software is a bit like it never stops.
Mm-hmm.
So the way we build today, there will be better software, better framework, better technology in the next 5 or 10 years, and they will have to catch up again or relearn it again.
Mm-hmm.
So you can build your platform today in the top of in the state of the art framework, all this cool technology, but then in 10 years that code will be legacy code.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so but in 10 years you will not have the same ability to code that you had today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, not just in terms of abilities, but also in terms of time and other commitments. So at some point, you'll have to hand over to other
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
to do it.
True. Mm-hmm.
Even if you enjoy coding, probably a lot, or building. I won't just say coding. Even if you enjoy building, good. We don't have to build at the technical level. You can still build at a more more like, how can I say, more human level, which is probably communication, the
Yeah.
business side of things,
You're
the
right.
social impact of the thing. These are also different ways to build it. But yeah, at some point, I just feel like the technical side also is not, it's not rewarded. It's not also that rewarded, because if you think about it, engineers, even though engineers are probably one of the smartest people on the planet, um, when you look at the reward that different people get for building products, engineers are probably, it's only recently that engineers have been recognized as builders,
Yeah.
and that's only when they combine their engineering skills with business skills
Yeah. Right.
and
I
or
see.
communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we can build, but the technical aspect of building only worth for this much.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then
True.
at some
True.
point you kind of have to hand over, because but it's good, because if you're technical, then understanding the fundamental of the product is a piece of cake for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the military, right? Infantry, the foot soldiers go do everything, and when they win, they report to the captain, and then the captain is the person you see. You know, you have
Yeah,
that foot guy that was digging a hole. You know, like
yeah,
infantry when they go and they want to attack a city, they dig and do all kinds of things, and then but when they win, you see everyone is coming to thank the king.
yeah, exactly,
Everyone's thanking the king and giving him
exactly.
gifts. It's very
Yeah,
funny.
I kind of realized that. Yeah,
Yeah, it reminds me
looks
of
like that's
Troy.
how the world works.
Yeah, but anyway, in I think uh, I don't know. Whenever I start diving in such conversations, I mostly see the problems, but I don't want to sound pessimistic. And I see that there are some, in order for us to get to a level where we can have functional products and then have a sustainable ecosystem, a lot of other things have to be adjusted, right? Like
Yeah.
accountability, for example. In my experience, trying to do just small projects with people back home, it could be their own projects even. Like mostly, someone would just say, "I want to do this," and that's it. Like I'll be the one to ask them, like, send me an Excel sheet that like gives me that outlines what it is that you're trying to do and perhaps the cost, so that way I can have a picture of what you're trying to do, and I can even know who to reach out to raise funds. You
Yeah.
see what I mean? And the worst part is, even with that, if you raise some funds and send it, they just do something else. Yeah, so I've seen that over and over, and so it makes it that part where people meet and have a certain goal and then work towards it is really missing
Yeah.
from my little
That
experience.
that is true. That is true.
So it
That is
makes it
true.
hard now for big money to get in, because if small money gets in and it disappears, then big money is already disappearing at the level of that people go to Kondangi for things. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean that's that. Yeah. But
Man.
the DJ, the ticketing
I need
thing,
to
you
go
got
in
me.
5 minutes, Mr. Mbe.
Okay, all right. But the ticketing thing, that's really interesting. I think it can be tokenized, especially if you want to make one authoritative platform where people can go there and manage all kinds of tickets.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Because I mean, this is just based on what I see, you know.
Yeah.
Well, from what I can see here, yeah, all the events that I see all have a number that you have to call to get tickets. They all have they all have that, or they have point of sales for tickets. So, which for me indicates that the management is well, there is a, I mean, we have to double check, we have to confirm and validate it, but
Yeah. Right.
for me it kind of indicates that is something that can be done to
Yeah.
improve
True.
it,
True. True.
especially with the new generation that is always on their phone, so we can make it easier for them to purchase, but make it 10 times easier for others to reconcile sales and manage sales. Because if you think about it, looking at it and looking at the fact that you have point of sales, that means if I sell you a ticket today, potentially the organizer does not know at that very second that you sold the ticket. So you probably have to reconcile, let's say, at the end of the day, because you're a point of sale. Or, yeah, so for me, it just indicates that it's possible to improve.
Okay. Yeah. I see. Alrighty. Well, DJ, I mean, as usual, it's always fun for us to chat. And I mean, let's let this idea brew at the back of your mind, and let's see. I've been doing some blockchain stuff lately, like just looking into it, and
Yeah.
yeah, and this is an interesting idea to try to test it out. And
Yeah.
also, yeah, and also note that some of these blockchains, in order to foster development, they actually can support you. Like all you need is a white paper that describes your
Mm-hmm.
idea and how you can like onboard it onto the blockchain, and the foundation that supports the
Yeah.
blockchain can actually give you up to maybe $3 million for some cases, and you can develop the thing and drive it. And some, or if it's like a platform that you think would have its own currency,
Mm-hmm.
you want to make like a native blockchain just for that thing, right?
Yeah.
A network that is just for kind of ticketing and whatever it is, the whole idea of ticketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's say ticket coin or whatever it is. If you have something like that, you can do an ICO, like initial coin offering, where people can buy the coin before time and then use that money to hire developers. So the blockchains that have raised
Mm,
up to like 230 million, like even $233 million in the guise of Ethereum and Bitcoin. And guess
yeah.
what? and then it actually like scaled to billions because like maybe they raised it when Bitcoin was like 10K, and then it went to
Yeah.
20K. So it's something. It's really something interesting to look into.
Yeah, I think it's something very interesting too. Yeah, we can chat about it more.
Okay. All right.
Yes, Mr. Misembe.
Yes.
Make I go
Yeah. All right, DJ. Me too.
handle some
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Me too. It was nice chatting. I also handle some stuff over here, and I hope we meet again and do this. Yeah. Thanks to all those that were listening. Thanks to you, DJ. Have a good one.
All right, man.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. See you. Bye.